Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to make a walk cycle from scratch. It's going to be a two-part video. In the first part I'm going to just block out the main poses for the walk, and in the second part I'm going to spline everything and refine it till it's done. Alright, so something I recommend using while animating a walk cycle is some kind of walk cycle reference. If you'll Google walk cycle, you'll find plenty of images that you can use. I use this one. Every time I do a walk cycle, I always have it nearby just so I don't get confused and save time a little bit. So that's the one I'm going to be using for this walk cycle. So let's start. As you can see, I set the frame range to 25 frames. The first and last frames are going to be exactly the same. That's going to create the cycle. And then if we want to play it, we'll just go to 24 frames and play it, and we should have a seamless cycle that way. So let's start with the first pose. I like to start with the contact pose. The contact pose is where the actual feet hits the ground for the first time. So let's do that. I'm going to try talking as I do it as much as I can, but there's going to be some quiet parts too, because it takes time. By the way, in case you don't recognize it, I'm using the Moom rig. It's just a very easy rig to use, that's why I chose it. Nothing special to it. Alright, so for the contact pose, we do want to make sure that the right leg, the one we start off with, or the left leg, whatever you're doing, is completely straight, which means there's no breaking of the knee. Alright. I also like to work in FK mode instead of IK. Both hands are in IK. A lot of people say that for walk cycle it's better to work in FK, and I can see why, but I always like working this way. Alright, so the hands go against where the legs are. So right now his right leg is forward, so his right arm should be backwards. This is kind of like a very basic pose. That's why we start off with that. Bring the elbows back a little bit. I have this view over here so I can see like how the side pose look while I animate. I'm just gonna make his hands a little more relaxed. Alright, that's much better. Looks kind of weird when it's all spread out like that. Maybe raise his head a little bit. Right. This seems like a nice pose to start with. So I'm just gonna select everything and key it here, and I'm gonna key it there too, because that's gonna be our last pose, because we're doing a cycle. I'm gonna take about 3 frames between each pose, just for the blocking, and then we can spread out a little better once we spline it. So frame number 4, he's already landed, so we don't need this. His body is a little more forward. Actually, instead of bringing the body forward, we should keep the body in the middle since we're doing a cycle. So I would just bring the leg a little back. We want to create a nice little bend here, but not too much. This one is even more broken. I mean, broken like this. And we can even like move between them to see how it looks. Also, his entire body is supposed to be a little lower. Maybe even more. Let's do a little more extreme poses. And the hand goes even more to the back. This is as far as the hand would go. And same for this one. Okay, we'll go back to these poses later and refine them. Right now I'm just trying to put them all out there. The next pose is the highest pose of his body. This is where the leg goes straight to the middle, and we bring him as high as possible. This is what we call a passing pose. His feet are huge, so they're gonna have a little bit of a hard time going past here without going through the floor. But we'll do what we can. The hands also go towards the middle. It's kind of like the opposite of the pose we just did. Alright, looks good. Maybe bring that feet a little more to the back. Alright. I should make sure to key everything just in case I missed something. It's gonna be good for later. Alright, next pose. He's actually going to be higher than the pose before that. I was wrong when I said this was the highest pose. This one is a little higher. That's because he's actually stepping on his toes a little bit. Just a little bit. And we'll raise him as high as we can. This is right before he makes his next contact pose. This hand is starting to move forward. And this hand starts to go back. See, we have kind of a start of a walk here. It's not bad. All right, next contact pose. We can just zero this. Bring it a little forward. And we need for this to be the same place as the first pose, because that's the same height. It should be identical to this, only reversed. So I'm just going to copy that. I can even actually copy the keys, the location from this one to that one to make sure it's exactly identical. But I'm not really trying to make a perfect symmetrical walking cycle. So I'll just do it. I'll guesstimate it. And then I can just switch and see if I see any like big differences. All right, just the hands. It looks pretty similar. You see, when we play it, it already starts to feel like a walk. All right. Now I'm just going to do the same poses, only in reverse on the other side of the body. Alright, I paused the video and finished the other steps. You won't have to watch me do the whole thing again. It's basically the same poses, only on the other side of his body. So that's done. We have all of our keys in the right place with 3 frames apart. And the last frame and the first one are the same. So if we look at only on the first 24 frames, we have a blocked walk cycle. We can even play blast it real quick to see it in real time. We should make sure loop is on. And there we go. Looks like a pretty cool walk cycle. In the next video, I'll spline all the curves and offset some of them a little bit so it doesn't look so perfectly in place, because right now all of the poses happen on the same frame. So if I just spline it like this, it will look very robotic. So you need to offset the hands a little bit, the steps, so it looks more natural. I'll also be adding some head movement. I didn't do it now because I feel like I like playing with the head straight into spline curves when I do a walk cycle, not for everything obviously. So stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.